Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
5 years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com. morning, good morning, good morning. Hold on. It's been a minute. There. Good morning, beautiful people. How are you? I've been away for a minute. Reruns have been playing since today's what? Thursday? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And last week I was on the road, all over California. We're home now and headed into another busy weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend early this year. And I am really excited. Not doing anything particularly exciting on the actual holiday, but I am excited about this coming Sunday, where I'll be headed down to Fieldcrest High School in Minot, Illinois, where I spoke to this graduating class of students when they were sixth graders. Think I'm going to feel old? I do. And I didn't need them to feel old. Trust me. I was at the gym this morning and every little move was like, oh my goodness. It's a good thing that I love Jesus, because when I'm there and that trainer is like screaming those things, come on, God, I'm like, girl, if you could hear the things going on in my head about you. But anyway, she helps me be a better me. So good morning, all you beautiful people. I'm excited to be back because we together are fulfilling one of the greatest opportunities. It's a promise, actually, that where two or more of us comes together, great things happen. And so it's spiritual magic in my book. What do you call it? Put it in the comments. But can I get an amen that it's great to have some place to come and pour into people and get poured into ourselves, right? Okay, so I'll put that amen up there. Really excited about today's guest. There are certain subjects that you think, oh yeah, I've heard that, I've experienced that, but then every time you hear it, it's just different than the time before because it is a unique experience. Today's guest, her name is Linda Wesley Henderson. And Lucy, get from down there. Lucy's here. She wants to come on the show. She'll probably jump up here in a minute. Linda Wesley Henderson. And I have a little bit to tell you about her. She's a wonderful person. She's a retired nurse. She spent 37 years, she says, caring for others. And then after experiencing the tragic loss of her daughter, Andrea, she spent 12 years dealing with grief, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and a whole bunch of other things. And now she's and many more now lifelong mental illness issues. Okay. She said she became determined at that point to increase her knowledge of grief. And then she went out and she received a certificate in professional grief counseling, coping with child loss, grief, and bereavement counseling as well. She also now has a new book. It is entitled The Road of Love and Hope. And she's become passionate, she says, about reaching out to other people who are suffering from the same kind of grief and other adversities of life. Her new purpose and her vision is to share her story and provide inspiration, hope, and most importantly, empowerment to others. So that's why she's here today. She's not been here before. She's a first timer. So you know what that means. We put on our best. We get to our feet virtually by putting some hearts on the screen because she's on our way in. I can hear her coming down the hall now. Put some hearts on the screen as we bring in today's guest, Miss Linda. Here she comes. I'm eating. Good morning.
Good morning.
Muffin and coffee. Top of the morning. How are you, Linda?
I'm doing good, thank you. Just finished my coffee.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Where are you at in the world? Where do you live?
Ontario, Canada.
We love our Canada. And oh, Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
But I do love Canada. Canadians are some of the nicest people on the planet. They really are. I'd like to give, I read your bio, but I also like to give the guests about 60 seconds to create their own vibe with the audience. So I kind of like leave for 60 seconds and just, it's all you. Say hello, just say what's on your heart today. And then I'm going to come back. And when I come back, I have a little snippet that I found about if you've ever lost a child. And I thought we'd hear what they have to say to kind of give us a a little push as we move into this most sensitive subject today. Okay. So I'm going to dip out. I'll come back. Right now, it's all you. 60 seconds. Take it away.
Okay. I'm Linda Henderson. I have lived the last 12 years without my daughter. She was 27 years old and pregnant with her second baby. She had a 2-year-old little boy at home. She was killed in a car accident. Her vehicle, she was the front seat passenger, and the driver, her and the driver were co-workers. They had been stopped waiting to make a left-hand turn when they were struck by a transport truck driver who was texting and driving. He was actually having an argument with his girlfriend on the phone, and he hit the vehicle that Andrea was in. He pushed them into the oncoming traffic where the vehicle was hit once again, and they were both killed instantly. It was December 20th, 2011. I was at the shopping mall 10 minutes from her when this happened. We had been texting all morning, just as mom and daughter, talking about the usual things. She was pregnant. She wasn't feeling well. I'm telling her, to eat crackers, whatever. And then the messages stopped. And 12:30 in the afternoon was the last message. And then the anxiety and chaos started.
Wow. So much. I didn't realize she was pregnant.
Yes.
How far along did you say?
3 months. My birthday is December 28th, and I was actually supposed to go with her, the mom-daughter thing, listen to the heartbeat and all that kind of stuff, and that didn't happen.
Linda, first thing I want to ask is this, because a lot of people, as a matter of fact, I'm headed to Waukesha, Wisconsin in a few weeks to speak there. I've been to that high school there prior to their Christmas massacre in the parade where the guy in the SUV came down and ran over all those people. And the entire town is still grieving. They can't celebrate Christmas like they said they could. It's actually the 911 center that hired me to come to kind of try to speak some healing into them, because they said that they're having a hard time celebrating the holidays and getting past what happened. And I wanted to ask you about that, since you have a double dip. Christmas, that's Christmas week.
Yes. I buried my daughter. The accident was December 20th. I buried my daughter on December 23rd. I had to open her Christmas gifts that I had prepared. I bought her a beautiful scarf, and so I opened her Christmas gifts so she could be buried in her Christmas gift. So Christmas for me has completely, entirely changed in those first 2 years. They were celebrated, you just, there are other members of the family that you have to move on with.
Sure.
But in my heart, Christmas is just not what it used to be. She's not here,
Do you think you will ever get past that?
It has gotten better. I have to be very organized, and I have to, go out and get all of my shopping done, and everything has to be over with in November so that I can leave. I've learned over the years that I need the month of December for me. So, if I'm depressed, if I fall, I can just let, if I can let grief have its space.
Yeah.
But at least I know that the family's taken care of, the gifts are bought, they're all wrapped. And then, December is for Linda. And the family knows that. And usually, when the Christmas, the week of Christmas comes, I do my robotic thing. I put on my mask, and nobody knows what's going on inside my heart. And I just function for everyone else here. the excitement, the glitter, everything that Christmas is gone.
Are you married?
Yes, yes, I've been married, actually this summer. We celebrate our silver 25th anniversary. It's a second marriage, and we've been together for 29 years.
29
And
years.
I have a fabulous person and unique. And if it wasn't for him, he's my rock. I wouldn't be here.
Well,
Between him and God, I wouldn't be here.
well, that's something we hear about a lot of couples when there is a loss of a child, that they just don't make it. Um, and I'm sure you know about that with the work you do and all.
Mhm.
But what did you mean when you said, if it wasn't for your husband and God, you wouldn't be here? Did you really get to that point?
Oh, yes. In those early months, especially the first year, my husband, I'm very blessed and fortunate that, I have a husband, I have I had him as a support network at the time.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people don't, but I'm blessed and I recognize that. But, he was there. He took a month and a half off work. And basically, I was medicated. I was numb. I didn't really. I felt like I was living outside of my body. I could feel my heart beating, and that was all I knew, because everything, the pain just consumed me, and I just wanted to be wherever she was. I wanted to be with Andrea. So,
Mhm.
he took care of me and said, it's time to brush your teeth. When did you brush your teeth? When did you have a shower last? Now it's time to have lunch. Now it's time to have dinner. And then I would just kind of do what I was told and then go back to bed, because I was just existing. And he helped to get me through that.
So Linda's husband and the remaining child, because there was a sibling, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me just ask, I'm just curious, because it wasn't just Linda, it was Linda and the baby.
Oh, Andrea.
I mean, sorry, you're Linda, and my bad, Andrea and the baby. So it's really two people.
Yes.
What about that? Did it feel, even though she was only 3 months, but did it feel like
We were so excited. We were so excited. I'm sorry. I guess you touched a touchy subject there. We were very excited. I lost a grandchild.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about Andrea, but there's also that secondary layer of loss, which makes it almost like a double whammy.
Yeah, I
Which
lost
makes
a granddaughter. I
right,
lost a granddaughter.
right. And I know it's a touchy subject, and I'm sorry, Linda, but I
That's
wanted
okay.
people to understand all of the components
Mhm.
that you had to deal with in order to get to that place that started leading you to the woman you are today and the work this woman you are today does. And so I didn't want people to assume anything. So I wanted to make sure that in case somebody came later something and didn't hear, yes, there were two losses there, a grandchild and a child. That's double. And my birth mom lost my oldest brother, Charles. I found my mom at 32, and Charles died in 2010. My mom died in 2012. And so she had to bury a child, and she wouldn't even talk about it. It was almost like people that that have served in Vietnam that refuse to talk about what they saw.
Yes.
It was like that with her. She completely shut down. Everybody knew that was the white elephant in the room. You don't talk about it. She had a shrine, and we were worried. We were worried she would never come back to herself, but she did, thank God. Okay, let's take a look at what this clip that I found to see. I want to see if it is in fact in alignment, how much of it, if any, with what you dealt with, and what parts of this that you hear in this clip kind of tie into the work you do with others who are, because man, I don't know if I could have done what you've done, but that's why it's your journey. We're not given more than we can handle. And do you still believe that? Do you believe that? How God doesn't give you more than you can handle.
Um, I'm not sure I believe that
Mm.
you know. I'm not sure. I was born and raised in a very strong Christian based family. And, when I was a kid, I went to church in the morning, Sunday school in the afternoon, church again at night. And, when I was a teenager, I did all the teenage activities, very heavily involved in the church, had a strong faith.
Yeah.
And, I, s-
Had?
I think it's
Had
taken.
as in the past, or do you still have strong faith?
I have my faith. Um, I wouldn't say that it's as strong as, back in those days. It was
Mm.
completely demolished. You know,
What,
I
were you angry at God?
I was like, there is no God. If there was a God, he wouldn't do this. He would, God is the power of, why didn't he stop the accident, right? I was very angry and screamed and yelled, but I think just the fact that I screamed and yelled so many times in anger, and then in the same breath it was like, oh God, help me, give me strength, I can't do this alone. So over the years I have found my faith again,
Oh,
and
that's wonderful.
I'm back to, yeah, where I need
Yeah,
to be.
where you need to be.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I know that couldn't have been easy. Now I'm looking, this is looking like it's buffering.
One of the most
Okay, there we go.
devastating experiences I believe anyone can go through is a parent losing their child. We grow up with this idea that it's unnatural for the child to pass away before the parent, and parents get really traumatized when that happens quite naturally. Parents feel a sense of blame, a sense of responsibility, and a deep sense of guilt sometimes when they lose that child. It is probably one of the most traumatic things, hands down. So I'm here not to take away from that trauma, but to offer some possible insight on how we can transform that pain into something that is meaningful to us. When we lose any loved one, that love that we had for them is the source of energy that can create a new meaning for us. We can take that love and refuel it into action. It is when we transform love into service and action that we truly declare that that love does not die. And
Mm.
this is a fact. Our love for someone, even though their form
Oh,
has moved on,
oh,
can never really die. That love is always there for us to dip into, to
oh my
access. We just need
God.
to go back to love and refocus our energies onto the love rather than the loss. The loss is immeasurable, but the love is immeasurable too. I often tell parents who are grieving over their lost children, that love you had for your child doesn't go away. We need to re-access that love. While you're grieving, and it's natural to grieve, remember that that love can be celebrated. That love can be a form of powerful action. We can take that love and serve other people who are
Exactly
in
what
pain.
you're
We can
doing.
take that love and commemorate that love
Actually,
in a meaningful way so that our life is infused with meaning through this loss, so that we don't just become paralyzed by this loss, but instead transform this love that we had into a deep, meaningful action. And the most meaningful action is service. So let's refocus from the loss and what we don't have to what we did have, to what we do have. And what we do have is that sense of being loved, of being in love, of being in connection. Let's take that and let's transform it into meaningful service for the world. So if you know someone who is suffering from the loss of their child, then share this video with them, because maybe it'll help them to move out of paralysis and move out of
Oh,
depression into a sense of meaning and hope and gratitude and celebration of what they did have, rather than a focus of what they do not have.
that's amazing, and it's completely what's happened with me. It took me a long time, but at the 9-year mark, I was out walking one day, which was a therapeutic thing I always do even now. And I just came home and said, that's it, I'm going to write a book. And so I put my pain and suffering into words, and it was the best thing that I ever did, because I learned so much in all the research doing the
Yeah.
book, and
Yeah.
just that thing that love is the most powerful source of energy in life. And so I decided that love is what's going to dominate my life. The love and bond that Andrea and I still have, it is untouched by death. And that is what controls my life. That is what, that provides a beacon for me to move ahead. And the grief has its space when I allow it, but it does not control me.
That video that we just saw, that clip, when that woman fell to the ground, to the floor in the kitchen, and the guy did too. It just, oh my goodness. Oh, it just slammed me. And I know it's a reenactment, which cannot even come close.
Well, it's a reenactment that I can relate to, because when I came home that afternoon, we didn't know until 6 o'clock in the evening, in the afternoon. The accident was at 1:45. Andrea had just purchased a new house, and she neglected to change her ID with the new address. So it took 6 hours before we knew. And when I came home, the police were here, and I just, went into the fight flight mode. And I remember walking up to the officer and pounding my fists on his chest, calling him a liar. You have the wrong person. You should not be here. And then I just collapsed on the floor.
Oh, woo.
So it is the ultimate pain, I think.
I think so too. I can't see anything worse. I really can't. I cannot. And I don't even have children, but I have godchildren and nieces and nephews who feel like they're my children, our children. And I just don't. Oh, I get it. I get the anger. I get all of it. But we're going to get past that, because there is a weight of grieving. You've gone and gotten some certifications so that you could officially help people through this thing that is so difficult, which I find so admirable. But yet, why in the world would a person choose that? And we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to ask you this. In the video, she mentioned blame and guilt. Even in a tragic accident like the one with the driver texting and whatnot, did you somehow blame yourself? Was that a part of your experience? Or what did you think the woman meant in the video when she says a lot of times the parents are riddled with blame and guilt?
For me, I've been asked that question so many times. And, I know that a lot of parents have guilt, guilt for different things, different reasons, depending on their relationships. I did not have to experience any guilt whatsoever, because it wasn't like she was sick and, I had guilt that I didn't take her to a doctor or something.
Right.
It was so sudden. It was so tragic. There was no guilt. I know I could not have prevented that accident. If I was there, I would not have been able to. It's just something I would not be able to prevent. So I had no guilt. And I had, that day right up until the text messages stopped, we had expressed our love for each other as we did every day, all day long. I mean, nobody leaves this house that I don't say, I love you. And so I knew that I loved her. I knew that she loved me, and I could rest assured that she was gone, but there was nothing I could do about it. And I had no guilt, because I knew then, and I know now, that I'm a fabulous mother to all of my children, and she knew it. Even in my book, I closed the book with a letter that she wrote me when she was 13, talking about how much she loved me and one day she would make it up to me. So I don't have any guilt, but I
That's
understand
awesome.
that a lot of parents would for
Right.
different reasons.
Well, and I was thinking about it because I was like, well, if you did have guilt, it might not be about the accident itself, but a lot of us have a hard time, whether it's God or in this case, the person who caused the accident. So I'm heading into the lane where forgiveness lives
Yeah.
because I know that that's a big part of healing in any capacity. And I just don't know how people do it. How do they find it within their spirit, their literal soul, to actually forgive and mean it? The person who caused this loss. Did you deal with that? Are you dealing with it? Where is that on the number line as far as forgiving this person? Have you done it? Are you doing it?
I live with the little flicker of anger. And it's been there for 12 years and it's never going to go away because the anger is toward him. He took my daughter. The anger is that I don't have her. I live with that anger and the triggers that can cause that little flicker of anger to just roll into a bursting flame. And I can go into a rage. I just have no patience and I'm so angry. And all that comes from him. Have I forgiven him? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. I try not to think about it. Maybe that's something I really need to think about. Maybe if I truly in my heart forgave him, the anger might dissipate. I don't know. But I struggle. I still
Um,
struggle with it.
oh, Vicky Williams is here and she can relate. Oh, Vicky, this is a good friend of our families, and I called her out of the blue yesterday. And she is in Atlanta, um, staying there fighting uh, her son, Nicholas, here was murdered for his car last year. And Vicky, she says the pain will never go away. She also says the devil has dominion over the earth. Demons took my child on December 13th in the holiday season, just like you. So see, you're here. This is not a mistake. This is divine. This is divine.
Wow.
Nicholas was only 32. He was a successful songwriter, and she moved down there. She sold her business, retired, and went down there. We celebrated her move, and it wasn't, I think in the first year this happened. She goes, I've learned in my heart to forgive all involved, but remain vigilant to get justice for my only child. So you see what I'm saying? Because I mean, some people would say, see, Linda, at least you still have some other children to fall back on. But I know it doesn't change or take away the absence that is there because of Andrea's passing. But then there are people like Vicky, who is just completely alone now. So how interesting. Let me ask you about this support group. Did you find any solace or comfort?
Oh, yes.
Talk about that, how you got there, and are you still a part of them, and how it might be important for someone like Vicky who's going through it? Because I don't know.
I attended I had a counselor and I was in counseling for 9 years. And, it took the first year, I went through a couple. You have to build that rapport. You have to have someone that you trust, that you feel comfortable with. And luckily for me, I met this woman. Her name was Linda. And I had that same counselor for 9 years. And she became a complete support system for me. And after 9 years, she had to move away. And it was like I was lost. But I think she gave me enough tools, enough built up enough confidence, I was okay to move on then. I did go to a support group in our local area, and that was right up until COVID. And that was a group of mothers. All of that was beneficial for me. It's not for everyone, but for me, it became my lifeline.
I can see how I would recommend that to everyone, actually. My husband's aunt, his only living aunt, the week we met, matter of fact, our second date he canceled and I thought he was just making it up because he goes, well, I can't see you on the second date because my first cousin, my best friend, took her own life last night. And I was like, geez, talk about one to get out of a date, but it was real. Wow. And the irony is that the mother was a grief counselor. Jan was a grief counselor, and she is still dealing with this almost 10 years now. So I get it. I want to put this up, and maybe you can speak to this. Vicky says, you forgive because you cannot enter the gates of heaven with malice in your heart. I want to see my son when my time comes to cross over. And I put that up there because I want to talk about, you said you still have that little flicker of animosity or
well, it's anger, I think, maybe I'll still have the anger when I do reach a point of forgiveness, because the anger is just the fact that life hasn't been good and life took my daughter. I mean, I can probably shift the anger from him to just life sucks. I don't have my daughter, and probably the anger will stay, but be maybe directed in a different direction.
Let's go here for a second. This is a piece I don't remember hearing people talk about much when we're having this kind of a conversation, but I'm interested in knowing how you feel about this. You know how before this happened with Andrea, we hear, before it happened with Nicholas, for Vicky and anyone else out there who's lost a child. You hear of it, it exists, it happens, but there's no way, there's nothing that can prepare you for when it happens to you. How, if at all, has this changed you? Like, for instance, when you see an accident on the highway, is it a trigger? When you see in the news or on a newspaper that a young person has lost their life, what goes through your mind? Do you think about the child? Do you think about the parents? Do you think about does the experience come washing through you again?
Oh, absolutely. The first thing I think about, I guess because I'm a mother, the first thing I think about is that mother. I think about the day that I got the news of Andrea and how it pulled me into the darkest place of my life ever. And I think about the mother, I think about the father, and then, and sometimes.
Do you think it's harder for one or the other? Sorry. Mother versus father? Do you think?
I don't think it's harder. I just think that women and men are so different, and the grief is processed differently. The grief is shown differently. Men have to protect their family. Men have to, it's a different thing altogether.
Different thing. The reason I said that was because I know when I found my birth mother, Lucille, and I asked her because, the rumor was that I had died in the care of the person who took me from her. And she said she didn't, but she never believed it. And I was like, what made you not believe it? And I was still gone. And she put her hand on her stomach. This is why I was asking the question, do you think it's the same for men and women, dads and moms? Is she put her hand on her stomach and she just looked at me and she goes, son, you and I were once one person. If you weren't here, I would have been the first one that God would have alerted that you were not here. And I've heard mothers say they woke up in the night around the time that something happened to their child. They didn't know what, but they woke up in a state of anxiety, panic, that something was off. Just like mothers can tell when they call, are you okay? You're on my mind, that sort of thing. And I think there's just that bond.
There is. And like when my messages stopped with Andrea, I knew she was at work. I knew that she was busy. And, the logic part of me, was saying, just give her some time to get back.
Right.
But after an hour and then 2 hours, and I had not received any text messages, then I knew something was wrong, because I knew that if she was distracted with work, she would have said, talk later, mom, or just a quick, I knew that. And when it was just dead silence and no more texting, I knew deep inside, I had that feeling. I knew something was wrong.
Do you still, now after this question, we're going to go into the book, because that's where in the healing lies. And I want to ask you this. Do you still wake up some days? Because I do, with my mom and my sister Sandra. She's the one right above me. We seem to land on that day at the same time. It's uncanny how we'll wake up and we'll reach to each other, because we woke up and it's like, I forgot. I went to call my mom to share some kind of news all these years later, and I go, oh, she's not here. Do you ever have those moments when, in just for a flicker, you forget that Andrea is not here? Like you go, oh,
from the very beginning, I have always talked to her. So I don't have those moments of I forget she's not here, because it's as though she is here from the very beginning. I've always talked to her. We live in a split level house, and when you go downstairs to the basement, there's a big portrait of her, and I say good morning to her every morning. And then I have another portrait in the living room that was painted, and whenever something is happening, I'll talk to her. The dogs are being crazy. Andrea, did you see that? And so I have her as part of my life and talk to her all the time.
Do you believe you will see her again?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I believe in heaven,
Yes.
and
yes,
I believe I will see her again.
Let's go into the healing aspect, if we could, because the thing that stands out is, you said earlier, you decided you needed to let grief have its space. Now, that could be the 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, forever. And not everybody can fit their grief in the same space. So let's talk about that. What's it like inside of your family dynamic, where someone else, after 2 or 3 years, they've kind of moved through it, they've grieved and they're okay, but you're still dragging, and do you ever feel like other people don't understand your grieving process? And did that have anything to do with you throwing yourself into the book, the creation of the book?
Everybody grieves differently, and for the longest time, the first 3 years were the most difficult for. I believe I didn't even grieve Andrea in those first 3 years, because I had the court case for the trucker, and I also had a court case for my grandson, because his father didn't seem to think it was necessary that I saw him. So we had 2 court cases, and during those 3 years, I don't believe I grieved Andrea, and it was very hard on all the family. My other biological daughter, she kind of went her way with grief. We weren't connecting, and we didn't talk for 6 months. So
Wow.
grief has a different effect on every family. The movement towards my book was just me many years, saying, I'm going to write a book one day. Like, so much is happening in my life, this grief, my daughter moving away. I wasn't able to see my grandkids. So I just decided one day that I needed to sit down and put all my pain and suffering into writing. And my goal at the time was, if I can help just one person, one family, by someone reading this, then I will have achieved what I set out to do.
Did people in your family read the book when it was finished?
My daughter still can't read it.
I hear that a lot when I speak to authors who have written. Why do you think that is, Linda?
it hurts too much. I don't think she's still grieving her sister. My granddaughter, my oldest daughter, her granddaughter lives with us, and she's 26, and she has the book. I gave it all to them for, their special copy, and it's just put aside. I know they haven't read it.
So, okay, on the screen, you all, there's the book, The Road of Love and Hope, The Journey of Child Loss. So, the title, how hard was it for you to find the perfect title? Talk about that.
It was not hard at all. It was not hard at all. From the very beginning, I just knew what I wanted, because this road that we walk as parents, or anyone who's lost someone that they love, is an unwanted road. It's not something we ever expect to be walking on. And walking on this road, I wanted it to be rocks. I wanted it to be not clearly defined, because as you're going along in grief, you have no idea where you're going. There's no, I didn't want the road to have any definition. But I did want, grief. For me, I compare it a lot with weather, and the sun will always shine. Even with those dark clouds, even when those dark clouds of really bad grief days are there, I know the sun is shining, and the sun will shine. And so that's how I wanted the book to look. And that's me walking on the road.
I was just going to say, well, I'm assuming that's you. Any reason you placed yourself on that road alone? Talk about that.
Well, the book is my journey of my child loss, and that's me walking all by myself, and that's what it feels like, because grief is a very lonely, lonely place. And, just you're walking, you're existing, you're going through life, you don't know where you're going. So just as that picture depicts, it's me walking somewhere, having no idea where I'm going, but it's a really treacherous road.
How did you know what to talk about? I mean, how did you know you had healed enough to have the unmitigated gall to write this book for other people? Because you're still in the process. The healing truly never ends.
Well, I had just wanted to write it, in the first year. I'll just back it up and say, in the first year for me, I read as many books as I could, and I wanted to read books about heaven, and I wanted to read books about near-death experiences. I just wanted, to be reassured that she was in heaven, that she was, I believe in heaven, and I believed then in heaven, but I wanted reassurance, just something I needed to do. But there was a couple of books that I read, and they were written by, a psychiatrist, one of them. And, being a nurse with my medical knowledge, I thought, oh, this would be good for me, and I'd be able to understand all of this, right? And it was far too heavy. My brain couldn't comprehend. That's not what I wanted. I was too filled with emotion. So when I wrote the book, I thought, I'm going to write this book from a broken-hearted mama. I'm going to write it as though I'm sitting here talking to a person who is going through those first hours, there's those first minutes, those first hours, there's the first days, months, weeks into a year, what happens to your body, what to expect, and then how you deal with it. And I wanted it to just, it starts out about that. I wrote it with, the big boulder, the road, and then the actual book is all based on, okay, now we need maps, now we need tools. The big boulder is when it happens. And then, around the corner, what's around the corner? Well, there's anniversaries and there's birthdays and all those first things you have to deal with. And I just wrote it straight from my heart.
Were you ever angry at other people because they seemed to get over it too soon? Like they wanted to celebrate and you couldn't yet, and things like that. Is there anything in your book about grace, how we have to extend grace to others to allow them to grieve how they need to grieve.
Oh, yes.
Because you may know it, but it may not be as easy to show it.
I talk a lot in the book about how grief is unique to everyone. You know, grief is as unique as your fingerprint, right? Because everybody has different relationships. You know, the relationship with the person you've lost, you know, it could be a strained one. It could be that the loss happened. Maybe you're not in the same state. You know, it's just, there are so many factors, and it's so individual, that grief is unique. And, you know, how people progress, you can never really compare yourself to someone else 2 years down the road, maybe doing different things than me. It took me 9 years. Maybe someone else writes. I know I have a friend of mine that wrote a book about that first year, and she wrote it like just after losing her, through the first year. I could never have done that then, but I can't beat myself up about it, because grief is individual.
It's individual. Absolutely. Wow, we've got a few minutes left. And before we get out of here, I want to, first of all, you guys, scrolling along the bottom of your screen right now is one of the many roads to Linda, Linda Henderson, right.com. And because her Facebook, you know how Facebook, the links are like sometimes just crazy letters and erroneous numbers. Because of that, I have taken the liberty of putting Linda's Facebook page inside your comment section. So it'll be easier to just click on it and go over there and visit her Facebook page. She's also on Instagram under Linda Henderson. But I would head over, especially to get your hands on the book. As we prepare to wrap this up, Linda, you know, you're how many years were you a nurse? 37. 37 years. Saw a lot of death and dying.
Oh, for sure.
And did you think you knew pretty much everything about it after all those years, and then to get blindsided like this?
No. And, you know, I lost my mother too, who was, you know, in 1997, I was a single mom at the time. And, you know, I love my mother dearly, as I do today. And at that time, it was the most devastating thing I had ever experienced in my life. And I've lost my 88-year-old father 3 years ago. And I can tell you that they're all on a different level, but losing a child, losing Andrea, just about did me in.
I could understand that. So last question. Do you think it's easier or more difficult for a parent if it's a miscarriage, if it's a toddler, if it's a teen, if it's someone that's an adult child? And the reason I asked that is because I mentioned at the beginning that I have to go down and speak at that school on Sunday. And the interesting thing why they called me back all these years later is because this particular class of students have lost 6 classmates from cancer, different cancers, since kindergarten. And so again, speaking healing into a collective. So I want to ask you, I'm sure you've talked to lots of parents who have grieved or still grieving the loss of a child. Do you think it's any easier or harder because of the age of the child, or is it just because it's your child? It's just one big old.
I think that losing a child is the most profound pain that a mother can experience. And I do not think that the pain is any less no matter what age. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, from birth, miscarriage, it doesn't matter, adult, teens, the pain is the same. The situation, is different. You know, the questions in your mind, if you have a baby, you know, you've lost so much of the future. There are so many other variables there, but that pain that is in your heart is exactly the same. And the grief has to be dealt with either way.
And you're doing exactly what the lady in the clip said about healing through love and in taking the loss and focusing on the love of the loss. And you've done an incredible job, Linda, of doing just that and getting out of your own way in by serving other people. So hats off to you. And, I just really admire you and I salute you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as we leave, last statement, last comment, any suggestions? We've got Vicky here, who's in the first year. I think it's coming up on a year. It's not even been one, or it's very close. Still inside, the kid is still in jail. They haven't had the trial yet. This and the other. I noticed in the pictures that she has like a little shrine because she sent me some pictures yesterday. And any words of encouragement or wisdom that you might share with Vicky or anyone else that is still dealing with the loss of a child?
Well, first of all, I think, you need to say, no matter, the devastation, the pain, and the darkness, you need to say yes to life. You need to find within yourself, that reason that you need to say yes to life, because life is precious and our children are a gift. And when we're given a gift, we're not guaranteed that it's forever. So you need to, even if it's just small moments, where you step out and look at the sun, or just tiny little increments where if you allow life to enter in and then build on that. Right. I would say embrace the moments, embrace every single moment. That's become my new motto because, today is our only little piece of time that we can control. Yesterday is gone. Yeah. And tomorrow is there because yesterday existed. Right. So, but today is the time when we need to value it and embrace the moments, and we need to cherish the memories.
I agree.
The memories are a window to our past, right? So we need to cherish those memories and create more memories whenever you have the opportunity. I always get, teased at home about, you take so many pictures. I think I have like 25,000 pictures on my phone, right? Yeah. I take pictures of every single moment. If a flower looks beautiful, I need to take it. And whatever we're doing, my husband sometimes has to stop the car because I need to take that picture. Mm-hmm. And so I embrace the moments and
a newfound respect or appreciation for life,
right,
in all of its beauty and its pain. I get it. Thank you again, and you all do yourselves a favor. Head over to lindahendersonwright.com,
and it's available on Amazon.
There you go. There you go, Linda. Thank you so much. You have the turnstile invitation, which means you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Keep going, keep growing, and keep showing others how to do just that. Thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Yes. Listen, and for the rest of you out there, thank you so much for honoring me and Linda and each other for showing up and pouring into each other. Now, as always, I say to you, I will meet you, God willing, tomorrow morning over on the front porch, and together we can have another illuminated conversation. Tomorrow's guest is all the way from the UK, an interesting and inspirational young man by the name of Aaron O'Dowd. Wait till you hear what he has done with his life after he lost his sight unexpectedly. It's going to change your life, I guarantee it. That's tomorrow right here on Bathrobe Moments. So I'm Dr. Lauren. In parting, I say every day, get out of here. I love, love, love you. Go out today and find just a little piece of your highest self. And you will be glad. Listen, I love you. Not a damn thing you can do about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Bye everybody. Have the best day ever. Thank you, Linda. Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. dream.